Everybody, we're going to put together a grow box today, and this is Kim. He's going to help you do it. We're going to do a step-by-step process, and the first step is he's going to pick up the container, and he's going to show you that right there we've made a hole about 3 to 4 inches from the bottom to create the water reservoir. Okay, you can do that with a razor knife or whatnot. Step 2, we're going to make a reservoir with using pine cones, or you can also use water bottles, but just make sure you use the harder ones like this Gatorade bottle and take the caps off. Okay, so if you don't have pine cones or magnolia pods or sweet gum balls, you can use those hard water bottles. The regular water bottles are a little too soft and they'll squish down. So we're just going to fill that whole area up to the hole with those pine cones and sticks. All right? And the benefit about using pine cones and gum balls, you get them out of your yard, and we have they'll break down in the future. Oops, that. Step 2, we're going to create a water reservoir using pine cones or gum balls or water bottles. But if you're going to use water bottles, you just want to use harder plastic ones that aren't going to squish, and then take the cap off, go ahead and throw them in. Okay, and then we're going to cover up the bottom of the container with the pine cones, just so that we cover up all the way almost to the hole or just past the hole, and that'll create a nice spot for excess water to stay. Step 3, we're going to put newspaper down to create a layer to separate the water and the pine cones from the soil that we're going to add. Now we're using about 10 sheets of newspaper to cover up those pine cones, and then we're trying to avoid using the shiny paper because it doesn't wick water as well. So this will create a nice reservoir so that you don't have to water as frequently, and in case you're late, you know, there's still some water there that the roots can get to. We're going to use potting mix, and you want to use potting soil rather than garden soil so that it will drain better. And we're going to fill the container above that newspaper all the way to the top so that we have a large soil volume for those roots to grow into and lots of nutrients. And we're going to leave it just about an inch from the top so that you can add more water as needed. So go ahead and fill it all the way up. It usually takes about a whole bag. The next step is to plant the plants, and we want to make sure we put enough space between them. The first one we're planting is a tomato, and they get pretty big, so we're going to loosen it up and put it into the ground and bury it about the same depth, maybe even a little deeper if it's really tall and leggy. And we're going to cover up that soil with the new soil and flatten and make it nice and level all the way around. The next plant we're planting is basil, but you can do any herbs, and they're a smaller plant, so they don't need quite as much room. So we're going to plant that, the whole thing. In this case, there's 3 little plants in there. So you can sometimes squeeze the pot and loosen those roots up a little bit, and then it should come out a little bit more easily. And then again, we're going to dig the hole deep enough to cover up that whole soil volume. But giving it enough room to grow, a little bit away from the tomato and all that, so that it will flourish and not be crowded out. Next thing we're going to plant are some bush cucumbers. So they're smaller ones that are really well suited for containers. And squash and cucumbers benefit by making a little mound, and we're going to put that in the corner opposite the basil. So we're going to make a mound, and that'll help the soil warm up a little bit, make a little hole, and we're going to plant about 3 to 4 seeds in that hole. Okay. and that way it'll ensure that you get at least one to grow, but if you get 3 or so to grow, that's great. And we're gonna just keep it mounded up. So that is a nice little pile, and that will warm in the sun a little faster to get those seeds to grow faster. Last thing we're going to do in the container is we're going to plant some beets and lettuce as a ground cover. So we're going to tear both packet tops up and open the packets and maybe mix them in your hands or something so you get even distribution, or do one at a time. And we're going to sprinkle them evenly over the top of the container so that we get a good mixture of both the lettuce and the beet seeds. And so while they're growing, they kind of keep the weeds from growing too, so that you can harvest those leaves. And we're just sprinkling them evenly all over the place and covering the whole surface. We're usually using a whole packet, and if we spill it, we can mix it around. That's fine. And then we can take our hands and I'm just going to help them here. Just spread them out evenly throughout the whole area so that we get a good amount mixed in all over. And by doing this, we're keeping again the soil covered, so it reduces the amount of moisture that you have to have, and provides more food for you to eat and as it grows. So when you're harvesting your lettuce, you just pick the older leaves and you can keep letting it grow and getting more and more. So once you got it all scattered down, just gonna head and mix it in a little bit so it gets some contact with the soil, and then we're going to just go ahead and get to the next step. Step is to water the container in. So you want a nice gentle sprinkler system so that it's watering in, and we're going to keep watering it all the way. Go ahead, yeah, there you go. So it's getting good soil contact with the container, and we want it to fill all the way through so that it'll fill that reservoir, and we'll keep going until we see water coming out the hole. You know, I'll tell them when I see it. Okay, so it looks like a lot, but that hole is what's helping you out, because when you have too much water, it'll come out, and I still don't see it coming out, so keep watering a little more. We just want to make sure that we get everything watered in well. And by doing this, you'll have a good drainage, and then it'll have excess water to come out the bottom. So we're going to pause right now, and I think that's probably good. Here we have our final container all watered in, and we use the lid as a tray to catch any excess water, which is fine. If you do have a lot of water building up in that, you want to dump it out because mosquitoes can breed in that, so be careful about that. It's just to help you keep things from splashing around a little bit. The lettuce seeds and pumpkins and whatever you plant should sprout within a week, and just make sure you keep it watered. If it's really hot and sunny, it's going to dry out on the surface, and you want to make sure that those seeds stay moist the whole time. All right, thanks for watching the video. If you have other questions about your container or any kind of plant, you can give us a call at 382-6348. That's 757-382-6348.